Hi class, in this video I wanted to show you how to access and how to fill out your persuasion outline. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and go to assignments. Once you go to assignments, you're going to obviously see our upcoming assignments, and this is writing exercise number 5. So what you should do is you should click on the essay 2 outline, and then you want to go ahead and click on this website. I should say that depending on your web browser, you might have to enable Adobe Flash Player. So Google Chrome is actually getting rid of Adobe Flash Player, so you might see this little notification up here. So all you have to do is click on Get Adobe Flash Player, and then you click on Allow. Again, it depends on your browser, because sometimes your browser might not give you this notification and it'll just take you to the link automatically. So here we have our persuasion map. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to create an outline over your second essay. So what we have so far right here is we have our name. So you write down your name and then you write down your title. Now remember that the title should reflect what your essay is about. So we are dealing with 2 articles. One of them says don't blame the eater. The other one says what you eat is your business. So we have to come up with a title that reflects where we stand on the issue and that reflects our essay. So I can't think of a title right now. So I'll probably title it something like, let's talk about weight. Something like that. So once you have your title, obviously this is just an outline. So if you decide to change your title, you can go ahead and change it when you submit your essay. So the next step is to click on Get Started. Once you've gotten started, you want to go ahead and start working on your thesis. So if we go back to our essay, so let's go back to the assignment, but we also want to go ahead and look at the essay that we're working on, because this outline is over that essay. So we're going to click on essay 2, and here is the question: who or what should be held responsible for people's eating habits and weight? Okay, well, that is the question I have to answer. So my thesis statement should respond to that question. Now, let's say I think that people should be held responsible. So my thesis would say, okay, so I wrote my thesis. Now obviously this thesis is just an example. Please don't go ahead and copy it. I could probably work a little bit on my reasons, but this is what I have for now. So these are my 3 reasons that people should be held responsible for their weight, because they should be held accountable for their actions. It affects them most of all, meaning that, their weight affects them, not other people. And 3, they should prioritize their health. So those are my 3 reasons. So now I clicked on the arrow, and here I'm going to write down my reasons. So remember, my first reason was that they should be held accountable for their actions. So I went ahead and I typed all of my reasons that I have. So now if you look up here, obviously we are at the second step. The next step is to go ahead and fill out a square for each reason. So basically what you're doing here, like for example, I'm going to click on this arrow, and what I have to do here is I have to provide facts or examples that support my first reason, which is this one right here, that they should be held accountable for their actions. So I want to put an example, right? So maybe I could put a personal example of myself where, I did something, I took care of something on my own, I was responsible for my actions, something like that. I could maybe also put an example from David Zizenko, and I could say something like, David Zizenko took it upon himself to lose weight. I can go ahead and say that, and then of course I can go ahead and paraphrase, or I can go ahead and quote the example that he provides about joining the reserves and losing weight. So like I said, I can go ahead and paraphrase it in my own words, or I can go ahead and just quote it from the article. Because remember, you don't want to quote in the introduction because the introduction is your summaries of the articles, but you can quote in the body of the essay. Now, if I wanted to, I could put another example from What You Eat Is Your Business, where he talks about how the government should not be held accountable for our actions. But if I wanted to, I could also provide some sort of statistic from one of the articles, or I could provide a personal observation that talks about, you know, what I have observed in terms of people in general, like people don't take responsibility, something like that. So once I am done here, I click on, sorry, not the conclusion yet. Once I am done here, I click on my second reason, and then I go ahead and I do the same thing. So again, you want to provide facts, examples. So my reason was their weight affects them most of all. So for example, here I could put a personal observation, and I could say something like, you know, a lot of people who don't eat healthy, they might have some health problems, right? So I could say that not eating unhealthy can result in health problems, right? And this is just something that I have observed. So I can go ahead and write that. I can also, like, again, I could go ahead and put a personal example. Now, obviously, I'm just doing this to illustrate how you should fill this out. When you fill this out, actually put the example. Or, like we said, example, paraphrase, or quote from one of the articles. So I think you guys get the point, and then you go to reason number 3 and you do the same thing. Once you are done with this, you go ahead and you go to your conclusion. Now remember that in your conclusion, what you want to do is you want to summarize your main points. So you want to do that, but you also want to go ahead and you also want to highlight the significance of the issue. So why does this matter, right? The book talks a lot about we're entering a conversation. So what's the significance of this issue, right? Why do we care about this? And if you think about it, at least in my opinion, both articles talk about weight, but it's about a lot more than that, right? And some of the topics that come to mind, the big issues that come to mind are self-responsibility, right? Are we taking responsibility, or are we blaming other people for our actions? The second one that comes to mind is health. Yes, we're talking about weight, and we're talking about who to blame, and we're talking about the government, but really we're talking about people's health, right? We want people to be healthy so that they can be active and they can live a long life and things like that. So those are the two topics that come to my mind of why this matters, because responsibility, also health. But you might think it's about something else, right? Like you might think that really the big issue between this whole thing is that people don't have time to make healthy food. So maybe you think we're just too busy, which could be a really good point, because to be honest with you, sometimes when I'm driving, I see a lot of people at drive-thrus, right? Because a lot of people don't have time to make dinner. So maybe you think that's the bigger issue right now, that we don't have time. We're so busy that we don't even have time to eat healthy, which is affecting our health. So there's definitely a lot of significance in this topic, so please feel free to discuss it on your own. And once you're done, you're going to click on finish, and then you're going to go ahead and save the final copy. So you want to go ahead and save final, and then you're going to save it as whatever you want. I'm going to save it as Essay 2 Outline. And then I'm going to click on save. And it's going to be saved as a PDF document. So all I have to do is save. And then whenever I go back to my assignment, and actually we have to go back to the Essay 2 outline, because I went back to the essay outline. But no, we have to go back to this one. So once you are back on the assignment page, you want to click on submit assignment. and then it is going to prompt you to upload a file. So I am going to click on choose file, and then I select a file from my computer, and I saved it under SA2 outline. So as we can see, that's the file, and then I'm going to click on open. If we check over here, we see that the correct file was attached, and then you can go ahead and click on submit assignment. And of course, you always want to go ahead and make sure that you submitted the right file. So once you submit the file, we get the confetti, and then right here again it tells you what file was submitted. And that's it. So make sure that you submit it as a PDF. You don't have to print out anything. You just have to go ahead and save it like in the steps that I showed you. So please let me know if you have any questions.